Ha! Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Lebza underscore 22. Back here with another video for YouTube. So let's get to this. This is an interesting I just thought about a few days ago. Is that I wanted to make a video, but I didn't have the time to because I had school 2 days ago. And I had to finish some of my assignments and things and hand them in today. And I had the test today. So now I'm finally getting this online. And I apologize, I cannot post on a regular basis because my dome doesn't produce, creative ideas on a regular. So I will be posting whenever something hits me, you know what I'm saying? So you guys need to like, subscribe, share to get the motivation and the creative juices flowing. But let's get to this. Today we're going to be talking about um the 5 key differences that I've noticed about Vienna compared to South Africa. The differences between, well, some unique things for South Africans about Vienna. Just saying that. You know what I'm saying? These are 5 key differences about Vienna. Some things that South Africans didn't know about Vienna, basically. Or the world didn't know about Vienna. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me tell you. Let's get to it. Key difference number one compared to South Africa, South Africa, is that um Vienna is a first world country. Like the standards of living in Vienna and South Africa are completely drastic. Just saying that because let me tell you something, right? Vienna is a small city. I think it's more or less 400 square kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very, very small city, you know what I'm saying? And the city has 23 districts. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's a city with 23 districts basically. Um it's a small city. So key difference number 1 is that public transportation. Public transportation in Vienna is completely different from South Africa. In Vienna they use the Öffis or the U-Bahn or the bus. The Vienna Linear is their public transportation. It's like the Gautrain in South Africa, in Pretoria. Gautrain in Gauteng, Pretoria, the Gautrain is like the Vienna Linear. But unfortunately, the Gautrain doesn't cover the whole of Pretoria because it just never not branched out that much, I guess. But it, yeah, I don't know how to put this in words, but like in South Africa, the biggest, the most used form of public transportation is taxis. Taxis in South Africa are completely different from Vienna. To all my Viennese friends and South African friends, is that we use taxis all on a regular basis because they're the cheapest form of public transportation in South Africa. In Vienna, taxis are the most expensive form of public transportation. With that said, taxis in Vienna are very, very like they're like cars, but like luxurious type cars. Most of the time, you find Mercedes Benzes. You can even find a Mustang taxi, a Porsche taxi, a Tesla taxi. Things I never seen before. A BMW taxi. Like I don't know, man. It's like an Uber X for taxis, more or less. Uber Black taxis. Uber and taxis in Vienna are the most expensive form of public transportation in the city. You know what I'm saying? Um, and in South Africa, taxi using the Gautrain, something similar to Vienna's Vienna Linear, is the most expensive form of transportation in the city. Yeah, that's it. So difference number 2 is that South Africa is majority of South African citizens are black. You know what I'm saying? Most it's yeah, that's how I see it. I'm not sure if that's true, but I think that the majority of South Africans are black. Compared to Austria, the majority of Austrians are white. So This is a funny story. This is a funny story. When I landed in Vienna, I realized this from the first time we were in the airport. I realized it at the airport, like there's a lot of white people here. You know what I'm saying? But then once we got out, I thought it was because it's an airport. Like people traveling, and it's a European airport filled with Europeans, white people. But then when I got to like the place and I went to school and everything, I realized that okay, it's it's a white dominated country because it's Europe. But I was the only black student in my Montessori at the time, and it's not a problem. It's just something you notice. And being black in Austria and seeing another black person in Austria, you guys will greet each other whether you like it or not. Like you don't care who they are, where they're from. If you see a black person in the U-Bahn, you will say what's up, or you won't say something, but you nod your head, or maybe like, notice the guy, maybe like, or like, greeting, and yeah, it's something that I didn't know. I noticed a few, a few days, well, a few months into the country, and that I this is a funny, really funny story. Me and a friend of mine, not gonna say his name, were I went to go visit his place in Lofer. They had a house in a village in Lofer, and it's a huge house. But I was in Lofer for the first time. It was the first time out of the city of Vienna, going into another province in Vienna, which was Salzburg, and a village of Salzburg was Lofer. And in Lofer, apparently they don't see a lot of black people. I think, according to my friend, we think that I was the first black person in the village of Lofer. you know, because I remember we were walking his dog, and we were passing people. I was greeting people like hi, and they were like hi. They were just like so shocked to see a black person in their village because it's not something they would see all the time. It was a unique sight to witness. Not saying that it was a bad thing, but it proves that some things in the world, it's not whether you live in a rich country or poor country, but exposure. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people in South Africa that don't know what coffee is, and there's a lot of people in South Africa that don't know McDonald's. There's a lot of people in Austria that don't think black people actually exist except from TV. There's a lot of Austrian people that think we still ride elephants to school. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is it's a white dominated country and South Africa is a black dominated country. Difference number three is that alcohol and cigarettes. Syntaxes. Alcohol and syntaxes in South Africa. In South Africa, there's a designated store for liquor. You know what I'm saying? You cannot just go into any spa or like any spa or villa, like any grocery store. Wait a minute, I feel like I need a burp. Okay, but it's not coming out. So you cannot go into any grocery store and buy a bottle of vodka. You know what I'm saying? You cannot find that. You have to go to a designated liquor store to go buy alcohol. And in Vienna, you cannot just go into any grocery store and buy cigarettes because you need to go into a designated tobacco store to go buy cigarettes. I know, right? It's like opposite. Because in South Africa, you can actually go into any grocery store and buy cigarettes, but you cannot buy alcohol. But in Austria, you can go into any store and buy alcohol, but not cigarettes. That's major key number three. The major difference. Difference. Three. The third major difference about South Africa and Austria. Number four is that um people in Austria, the standard of living in Austria is actually very interesting because South Africa is a big country. Austria is a small country, and the city of Vienna is a very small city. It's like 400 square kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. Housing in Vienna is hell of expensive. Hell of expensive. People will pay more or less 200,000 to like 300,000 for like a 80 square meter house. That's like 2 to 3 million bucks or 5 million bucks in South African rands for an 80 square kilometer house. People in South Africa are gonna say that's absurd because in South Africa you can buy a house that's over 100 square meters for just over or under a million, depending on where you're buying it. Under a million, 100 square meter house for under a million. Think about that. Let that marinate. That's something that like shocked me because like we used to live in the 19th district, and at the time the house which we lived in was basically around the same size as this house, but it was in a expensive neighborhood in Vienna, which at the time I didn't know until I posted a video saying, "Look at our new house and everything." And then I went to school, and two of my friends, not gonna say their names again, just I don't know if they want to be known, but they saw the video and they were like, "Wow, your house is nice. Can we come over sometime?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I called my mom right there on the spot, like, "Yo, mom, a couple of my friends want to see the house. Can they come through?" My mom was like, "Okay, fine, cool." And when we got there, they were like mind blown. They were like, "Whoa, bro, are you rich?" And I'm like, "Why?" Because it was a lot of space, and that size of a house, I think it was 150 square meters or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, in the 19th district, the most expensive district in Vienna. you know, and it was huge. Apparently, the rent of that house itself, with no electricity and water included, was around 3,500 euros, which is a very, very high amount of rent for a house. And it was shocking at the time. I didn't know until they told me that, bruh, you actually rich. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not wearing no Rolex. I don't have a car, you know what I'm saying? And they had a car to drive to school. One of them had a car that they used to go to school and had like nice watches and everything. And yeah, but it is what it is. I think that was key difference number four, right? Key difference number five is that let me think about it real quick. Compared to South Africa, key difference number five. Oh yeah, Vienna gets really cold. South Africa gets really cold too. Although people think Africa is always hot, South Africa gets really cold, people, because um the cold. Well, our cold is not the same cold as Europe. People from Europe come to South Africa for like winter season, in the winter season, and will say South Africa is hella cold. It's more colder than Vienna. Even though Vienna has temperatures and it snows, has temperatures of like below 20 at sometimes to below 15, like minus 15, minus 20, and still complain about the South African weather is because we don't have central heating. Central heating is like in Austria, every house, well, every livable house in Austria has central heating, which means that the temperatures you have inside your walls of the house are completely different from the temperatures outside the door. You know what I'm saying? So if you're indoors, you can basically walk in shorts and a vest and you won't feel the temperatures of -5 because they have the central heating, like underfloor heating or like the gas heating pipes, and it warms up the house. So you would like be indoors with shorts and a vest, and when it's time to go outside, you put on a heavy jacket, some boots, socks, a hat, a beanie, and a scarf, and you would still feel cold because it's minus like 19. You know what I'm saying? But in South Africa, if you're Austrian, please, if you come to South Africa, come with two jackets at least if you're coming in the winter seasons, which is from May to August, because it's cold. Um, we have temperatures that reach -5 at worst, if I'm really on my mark, if I'm not mistaken, and -5 indoors and outdoors because we do not have, well, a few people have central heating, but um it's not uh it's not a serious, it is a need, but it's not seen as a need by the South African government, you know what I'm saying? Because basically it's hotter in the days, but when it gets to nighttime, that's when it's freezing. And ladies and gentlemen, that sums up the 5 key differences about Vienna. From your boy Lebza22. Like, share, and subscribe if you found this video informative. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Deuces.